Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Qdabra's weekly webinar. I hope you all can hear me okay. I am in Seattle this morning. My name is Patrick Halstead, and I'm your webinar monkey today. We have a short 20-minute webinar for you to give you a glimpse of a new technique that we're using with some of our customers. First off, let's do a quick survey. Let's do a quick question here. We've got one question, one poll, that's it. Just want to get a quick idea of how many people out there have external users. I'm guessing that most of you do, otherwise you wouldn't be in this webinar. The point of this webinar, and I'm going to give it another, looks like we have about 61%, so we're going to give it another 5 seconds here. The point of the webinar, thank you very much, so it's 67% of you, and we got about 70, actually up to 70 now, and we have about 3/4 of you answering. Thank you very much for that. So about 70% of you replied with the yes. You do have external users, which is actually the whole point of this webinar today. We're talking about what to do when you have people outside of your organization that need to access a form and fill it out. They may not have Microsoft InfoPath installed, or Office for that matter. They certainly don't have access to your internal SharePoint site. And this technique that we're talking about today works fine on 2013. We're going to raise the bar a bit and talk about it in the context of 365 because it's slightly more work to get it working for Office 365. But our goal today is to get input from those external users. And just to quickly survey the scene here, we've done webinars and Excel surveys. They tend to be quite simple, but they're a good technique if you have a very simple survey you need to collect data on, 5 to 10 questions. They don't handle repeating data. They have lots of limitations. You can go back to our webinar list from, I think it was last year, and take a look at the Excel surveys, or you can find them online. They're very easy to create, but they're too simple for what we want to do today. We want to create an expense report that we give to our vendors so they can fill out their expense report. We use the expense report form a lot, so just ignore the fact that that's kind of not a perfect scenario because most vendors won't be filling out an expense report. But we're going to use that today for our sample. The other solution here, number 2, that's out of the box, is to use InfoPath Form Services. And you can set up your SharePoint on-prem to allow for anonymous access. We have one customer, one large customer that's doing this. It does take quite a bit of work. It's configuration, and in the end, you have to have an account that you're submitting as. So for those anonymous users, they obviously don't have accounts. They can still submit forms, and we can tag those forms as submitted from anonymous. And the other issue we have here with this approach is that the form libraries aren't supported. So SharePoint solution does not allow you to expose form libraries on your public site. So we're going to look at another technique today. We've been working on this FormsViewer app for over a year. It is one of the many alternatives to InfoPath v2, I like to say. Microsoft has stopped releasing new versions of the InfoPath form. They are going to ship it one more time in 2016, but they've decided to stop development on it long term, and we have a solution that will take your forms and move them to the future without requiring any change to your form. So FormsViewer app, we'll show it in a second here, allows you to submit forms. It's free. It allows you to submit forms, edit forms, display forms in 365 or SharePoint 2013. And the best thing about it today is that it works externally. So here's my demo script. I'm going to quickly show you kind of the schematic of what I'm going to demo next. Most of this quick webinar today is the demo. So we have an external user here that's going to be accessing our public site. They're going to be clicking on a link. It's going to open up the form that we've published. You actually don't even have to publish it. You can just drag and drop it up to the site. But in this case, we've actually got a link that we're going to add to our public site. They're going to click on the link. It's going to open up the form, the InfoPath form in the app, and then it's going to allow the person to fill out the form and submit it. And then we'll be able to open it from our internal site after we log in. Assume for a moment that you're no longer an external user, you're now an internal user. we're going to log in and show you that form how it got submitted. We also have a bonus. We're going to show you that we can submit that form as PDF back to the original user. Okay, so that's the flow. Let's do it. Let's go ahead and do it. So here's my email. You don't want to see that. Here is my public site. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, obviously I'm not logged in, so I'm going to edit this public site. Now for most of you, if you have 365 today, to get to your public site, you can just add a -public to the end of your domain. And if you do not have 365 and you want to get a public site, Microsoft has disabled it moving forward, but for a day we're going to use this because it's kind of cool, and they're going to keep it around for a while for those of you who already have 365. So you can enable your public site, and then what you want to do here is you want to go in and edit the page. So we're going to click on Page, Edit. It's really easy. This is, of course, not new to any of you, and we're just going to add that link here, and hopefully I still have it in my I think that's it. Let's try that. Okay, so once we've done that, we can now publish the site back, and we'll save and publish. And I'm going to log out, and I've got my link on the public site now. And for those of you watching, you may be tempted to follow along and fill out the form. Just so we don't completely overwhelm the servers today, and this should be fine if you want to fill it out with me, but let me do it first because we haven't tested large usage scenarios for the webinar this morning. So we're going to go out to visit a customer, and this is just a simple. This is your typical InfoPath form showing up now in FormsViewer. Now, for the branding purposes for the webinar, we've added this at the top. You would not see that when you install the app. It'll just look like an InfoPath form. It functions like an InfoPath form. You can tab. You can enter your information here. Let's see, what department am I in? I'm in webinars, and I'm going to put in my email address here because I want to get this a PDF copy of this form emailed back to me. We did a demo back in early May showing the PDF generation functionality, and so and we'll just type in the email address of my supposed manager here. We have one expense today. You can see that the date control for the FormsViewer app looks a little bit different, looks better than the InfoPath one out of the box. So we'll select the 30th, and we're going to go to my favorite coffee place in downtown Kirkland, which is, this guy won. He was the #3 barista in the nation. His name is Carlos. If you're in Kirkland, you need to go get his espresso because it is amazing. Okay, so we're gonna have a. They also have. I don't have any financial stake in this bakery. They also have wonderful crepes. So we're gonna have a crepe or something like that. Okay, so we're gonna submit our form. And form's been submitted. Great. So as an external user, I'm done. That gives me confirmation that I was able to submit the form, and it closes automatically. There's a rule in the form that closes it automatically. Let's take a quick look at the form. So here's the form in the InfoPath Designer with our submit button there. Looks a little bit different in FormsViewer. You can see here that it's submitting and closing the form there. If I take this out and republish the form, it won't close. And it's very easy to do that. If we have time at the end, I'll show you a republish of the form and show you how quickly it changes. It's just instantaneous. But for now, let's go back to our site and let's take a look at what just got submitted. So now I'm logged in as an internal user, as you can see here on the upper right, and we want to look at the one I just submitted, this form right here. So this form got submitted to our internal library. And I can click on this, and it should open in the InfoPath Form Services. This is because I have the license. I'm internal now. I don't have to worry about external licensing for whatever reason. So I can open the form and view it. I can edit it. I can do workflow on it. And in fact, what we've done here is we've added another app to this library that is allowing us to synchronize the form with our back-end Azure database. And we're using our database accelerator for that. And what that's going to enable us to do is to get an email. So let me go to my email again here, which you really don't care about, but except for this one thing here, we should get, it may take a minute or two, but there is a, well, we'll wait for another, we'll do a send receive update here and see if the new form gets sent to us correctly. It may be sending it to, let's just see if it's in my inbox. Not in my inbox yet, so we'll give it another minute or two. And we've set up this database accelerator. We have a new app for it that we installed that allows you to synchronize your forms with an Azure database. And so we have this app that you can go in here and you can specify where to send the forms. The benefit of that is that if you've got more than 1,000 or 2,000 forms, you can map them to a database, do reporting, and in this case we're going to be generating a PDF if this works correctly. So let's see if I can get back to my site here. So that's a quick demo. I'm going to quickly show this again here. What we did was I submitted a form. I logged into my public site as an anonymous user, submitted an expense report form. The FormsViewer app allowed me to view that InfoPath form in the browser on the external site, even though I did not have access to a form library. I filled it out, submitted it, and it submitted to an internal form library. I logged in as a user on the domain and was able to view that form. And the form also is getting synchronized to a SQL database. Let's give it one more. Well, we didn't get the email yet. Maybe I typed it in wrong. But if it had worked, which it did in our test a moment ago, you would see this expense report get sent to you with the data in it. And I'm not sure why I didn't get the email. Maybe I typed in the email address wrong. We have the developer. I want to introduce Jimmy Risch, who is one of our esteemed developers here. He's actually a lead developer at Qdabra. And Jimmy is the developer behind FormsViewer. And we are hoping to get 1.1 of FormsViewer out in the next month or so. If you're interested in this app, it's free. Like I said, you can go to our formsquo.com site and you can download version 1 of it. You go to our technology matrix where we describe lots of solutions to the future of your forms, one of which allows you to take those existing InfoPath forms out of the box and just render them, edit them without having to change them. And you can get the free download by clicking on this download link, downloading 1.0. Like I said, V1.1 or V2, however we call it, will be released shortly, and we are taking, as part of the survey, up to 5, we're going to be providing assistance to up to 5 people who want to install it in the next week. So that's what you get with the webinar package. You're going to get the slide deck, the sample form. We are publishing this on YouTube as well, and we're more than happy to help you set up that FormsViewer app and support you on it for free if you're one of the 5 top survey submitters and you say yes to that question. Any questions for me? Let's take a quick look at questions. We're going to go back and see if that email came in or not. I must have typed in the email wrong. We could try it again. But we have some upcoming webinars on leave request forms, timesheets, project managements, and forms that get glass signatures. If you have an iPad, you can use InfoPath to get a glass signature. So let's do questions. Any questions for me? So Misty has a question. Does this work with SharePoint Online? Yes, it does, and that's pretty much what my demo was with SharePoint 365. That gives you the online demo there. You do need the public site, so make sure you can you've logged. If you've created a SharePoint Online site in the last few months, then you still have access to those public sites. Greg's got a question. Security, hacking from the external to the internal site. Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know, Jimmy, if you want to handle that. I can't, obviously there's a whole denial of service type of deal, but security is a concern of ours, as always, and there's no way to access the internal site from FormsViewer. FormsViewer is just giving you that one submit, fire and forget, so to speak. But that is a good question. Maybe, Jimmy, you've got another rejoinder to that question from Greg.
Yeah, so the FormsViewer app allows you to basically the way we allow anonymous users to submit is that we allow the admin of the FormsViewer app to store credentials that can be used to submit to the internal site. So if you limit those credentials to just a single library or well, basically a library, then they'd only be able to submit to that library. So of course, that does leave the possibility of them, submitting a bunch of garbage to the library, but it would at least be localized.
Thanks, Jimmy. Catherine's got a question. So the only way to authenticate external users is by the data that they put on the form. And Catherine, you came in late. So yeah, so actually they don't have any, there's no authentication, it's just anonymous, right? They just log in, and we would then create some kind of a workflow to delete spurious submits, for example, if there was bad data in the form. But yeah, I mean, this is basically for organizations that have hundreds or thousands of different external users that they want to enable workflow to collect information from those users in the field and have it streamlined into their internal systems. And that's what we're presenting today is really a solution for that. We're going to be talking about FormsViewer more in the future. Let's see, can you ask for, there's another question from Catherine, can you ask for an email address and then match it against the list? Yeah, that would be a great idea to restrict the workflow. In the form that I showed, we have the email address here, and I typed it in. So you could then look that up internally as part of your workflow and bar the form from going any further if they weren't in the list. That's a great idea. Good idea, Catherine. Okay, so that's pretty much it. This is a quick webinar for you. We'll do it every week here. We try to do it every week, not every week. Last week we didn't do it, but we will be doing it again next week, and we look forward to having you. We're here for you. If you got any questions whatsoever, if you want help with the app, let us know. And there'll be a quick 4-question survey, and we really appreciate your input and hope to see you here again next week. Have a great day.